As the ancient legendary poet and philosopher Khalid Mohammed Khalid once said, with contributions of contemporary legends Navidius Damon Wilburn and Antoine Franklin McAllister, I'm suffering from success. That is an apt description for today's species of interest, which is sort of an anomaly. While it thrives in foreign lands as an invader after being introduced by man, it finds itself struggling in a precarious situation in its native range. While this kind of thing isn't necessarily rare, it is bizarre considering the level in which this creature thrives in its new environments. So successful, in fact, that it can quickly destabilize entire ecosystems if not kept in check. All the while, it is seemingly suffering from a silent extinction where they're supposed to be. In today's episode of Endangered Inhabitants, we'll be hopping into the world of Oryctolagus cuniculus, the European rabbit. All rabbits are found in the placental mammal superorder of Oryctolagus. This grouping contains the primates and colugos under the grouping Primatomorpha, while the tree shrews of the order Scandentia are sister to the gliers, the grand order containing the rodents and lagomorphs. Rabbits join the club of animals commonly called or considered rodents, but aren't actually rodents, as Lagomorpha is sister to Rodentia. Lagomorpha itself is composed of two families. The Leporidae currently contains 75 species of rabbits and hares, and the Ocytonidae, which contains 34 species of pica. While the evolution of lagomorphs is still not well understood, it is generally agreed that the first appeared either in the late Paleocene or early Eocene. The first recognizable rabbits appeared in the late Eocene and spread rapidly throughout the northern hemisphere. The family Leporidae can be divided into one extant subfamily divided into 11 genera, which I will go through now as I will not have another opportunity to talk about rabbits for a while. Pentalagus, containing the Amani rabbit, Bunolagus, containing the riverine rabbit, Nesolagus, containing two extant species of striped rabbit, Romerolagus, containing the volcano rabbit, Brachylagus, containing the pygmy rabbit, Silvilagus, containing the cottontail rabbits, Poelagus, containing the bunyoro rabbit, Caprolagus, containing the hispid hare, Pronolagus, containing the red rock hares, Lepis, containing hares and jackrabbits, and the Oryctolagus, containing our European rabbit. The genus Oryctolagus contains only one extant species, that being our European rabbit, or Oryctolagus cuniculus. The resemblance that our European rabbit of Oryctolagus shares with the North American cottontails of the genus Silvilagus are actually a result of convergent evolution, with both groups having numerous skeletal and behavioral differences. The European rabbit's actual closest living relatives are the hispid hare, the riverine rabbit, and the Amani rabbit. European rabbits can then be divided into two wild subspecies, the common rabbit and the Iberian rabbit. There is one more form we need to mention, that being the domesticated rabbit. Rabbits were first domesticated by the Romans, being used for food and fur. This also facilitated their spread throughout Europe and northern Africa, which began shortly after their domestication. This domestication has further allowed rabbits to spread and succeed, with there currently being over 300 breeds of domestic rabbit. Adult European rabbits can measure up to 40 centimeters or 16 inches in length, while weighing up to 2 kilograms or 4.5 pounds. Size and weight can vary according to food and habitat quality, with individuals also tending to grow larger in captivity. They're smaller than other European lagomorphs, like the brown hare and mountain hare, having proportionately smaller legs while lacking the black tips on their ears that the hares have. Wild European rabbits don't often live longer than 3 years, but can live up to 9 years in captivity or in perfect conditions. Most wild rabbits have relatively full, egg-shaped bodies. As speed and agility are their main defense from predators, rabbits have large hind leg bones and well-developed musculature along them, along with a long, flexible spine that allows them to move quickly. Their skull displays a significant facial tilt of roughly 45 degrees, supporting their locomotion and allowing them to mainly move by hopping or being saltatorial rather than running or being cursorial. One of the most iconic features these rabbits exhibit are their massive ears, which can measure up to 7.5 centimeters or 3 inches tall. These ears are always at attention, unlike domesticated lop rabbits, as rabbits depend on them to detect danger. Their short puffy tails are tucked between their legs, as long tails could potentially hinder them in their daily activities, like entering or exiting their warrens. European rabbits are covered in a soft down hairs covered by stiff guard hairs. Wild individuals usually have grayish-brown hair, but these rabbits can exhibit great variation in color, from light sandy to completely melanistic or black. As rabbit owners know all too well, rabbits molt once a year. It begins on the face and spreads over the back, where the underfur is completely replaced by around October to November. Rabbits also have whiskers, aka vibrissae, sensory hairs used to sense their environment, which should not be cut. Having quite a limited original native range, these rabbits can be found in Portugal, Spain, Andorra, and southwestern France. Their range has expanded considerably through human intervention, expanding into almost all of Western Europe, Cyprus, Chile, Argentina, Australia, and New Zealand as an invasive species. We'll only be discussing the behavior and ecology of these rabbits in their native range, as that is where they're supposed to be. European rabbits prefer a mixed habitat of Mediterranean oak savanna or scrub forest, having an affinity for areas with around 40% cover for shelter from predators and open areas that support their dietary needs. They can, however, be found in heathland, grasslands, meadows, deciduous woodland, sandy soils, mixed farmlands, and in rocky areas if their conquest of most of the world is anything to go by. These bunnies are mostly graminivorous, meaning they primarily eat grasses. They will eat a wide variety of herbage, favoring the young succulent leaves and shoots of the most nutritious species, especially fescues. They are less picky than other sympatric lagomorphs, also eating cereal crops and root vegetables when present. While commonly depicted eating carrots, it actually isn't healthy for them to eat carrots as their main food source. Carrots are high in sugar, which, in high enough amounts, can disrupt a rabbit's digestive system. This myth actually comes from Looney Tunes with Bugs Bunny back in 1934, which is wild to think about how a cartoon literally brainwashed everyone who isn't rabbit-pilled. Rabbit teeth are similar to their rodent relatives, sporting articular hespodont teeth, meaning they grow continuously throughout the animal's life. Two upper and lower incisors are used to slice through plant material before it gets sent back to the premolars and molars for grindage. While tooth overgrowth might be a problem for your pet rabbits and rodents, the teeth of wild rabbits are constantly being worn down by continual grazing as rabbits have to chew their food well. Like most herbivorous mammals that are ruminants, rabbits rely on hindgut fermentation in order to efficiently digest the more fibrous parts of their diet, which, considering they mostly eat grass in the wild, is a lot. Their cecum, a large sac at the junction of the small and large intestine that even we possess, is exceptionally large so that it can contain the bacteria and other microbes that break down their food. European rabbits are crepuscular, meaning they are most active at dawn and dusk, spending more time active at night when most feeding and socializing occurs, while they spend much of the day in their burrows. In areas where they are allowed to adapt to human activity and aren't persecuted, which we'll get to later, they progressively become cathemeral, when an organism is active at irregular intervals throughout day and night, with the lack of predators. These rabbits are well known for digging networks of burrows, called warrens, where they spend most of their time when not feeding. Most passages are interconnected and have side pockets for individual families to live in. The main warren normally has 2 or more entrances, allowing for a quick escape if a predator enters. Rabbits are gregarious animals, living in stable social groups centered around females and sharing access to 1 or more burrow systems. The size of their home range varies according to several factors including habitat, food, shelter, cover from predators, and breeding sites, though these territories are generally small, encompassing about 4 hectares or 10 acres. These warrens normally contain 2 to 12 individuals living in smaller groups to ensure greater breeding success. Dominance hierarchies exist for both bucks and does. The status of the buck is determined by access to does, with dominant bucks siring most of the colony's offspring. Dominant does have priority access to the best nesting sites, with competition over such sites often leading to serious injury or even death, like the Great Tickle Me Elmo Brawl of 1996.
Like alpha males such as myself.
Dominant bucks exhibit polygamy, a mating system where one male lives and mates with multiple females, but each female only mates with a single male. Lower status individuals of both sexes often form monogamous breeding relationships instead. Rabbits signal their readiness for the nasty by marking with a smelly substance from their chin gland in a process known as chinning. Once the nasty has been completed, gestation lasts around 30 days. These baby bunnies are called kits. Before giving birth, the doe will construct a separate burrow known as a stop or stab away from the main warren, protecting the kits from adult bucks and predators. These kits are born blind, deaf, and nearly naked, being completely dependent on their mother until 18 days old when they start to leave the burrow. Sexual maturity is attained between 3 to 5 months, which means they start breeding. A lot! These rabbits are an important food source for many animals, including some rabbit specialists like the Iberian lynx and Spanish imperial eagle, whose populations also fall when rabbits are not present. Non-rabbit specialists who also can prey on adults in their native range include the gray wolf, red fox, golden eagle, European wildcat, stoat, and the European polecat, among others. Kits are hunted by practically any predator they share their range with. European rabbits are listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List. There are no official estimates on the population of these rabbits in their native range, but the population trend is decreasing, with 60 to 70% decreases recorded in some areas. The biggest threat that European rabbits face has been two diseases that first appeared in the 20th century. Myxomatosis is our first disease that can cause swelling, fever, blindness, tumors, and sometimes death, among other symptoms. This South American virus, primarily spread through insect vectors like fleas and mosquitoes, was intentionally introduced in the 1950s in France by a farmer in hopes of controlling the rabbit population. Let's just say it worked a little too well, with an estimated 90% of European rabbits perishing due to myxomatosis after the first outbreak. Rabbit hemorrhagic disease is our second disease, being caused by a lagovirus that first appeared in Europe in the late 1980s. It is characterized by bleeding from the nose, mouth, or rectum, fever, lethargy, difficulty breathing, seizures, and sudden death, among other symptoms. This disease spread like wildfire through the Iberian Peninsula, causing the death of between 55 to 75% of rabbits in infected areas. Death typically results within 24 hours of symptom onset, making it extremely difficult to even treat, let alone cure. Like practically every species covered in this series so far, habitat loss and fragmentation are consistent threats. Most of this comes from agriculture, with modern intensive agriculture negatively impacting rabbits way more than small-scale mixed farming that was once more common in the region. High-intensity livestock production and high ungulate numbers contributes to both habitat degradation and competition for resources like the grass our rabbits depend on. Tree plantations in Spain and Portugal have replaced rabbit habitat, and urbanization presents a threat, as does increased fire danger in existing habitat that can be fueled by climate change. The killing of European rabbits has been another cause for concern. As rabbits can cause damage to crops, farmers often have rabbits killed or controlled in farmland areas. This, often in conjunction with other factors like those mentioned before, mean that rabbits cannot sustain hunting and control measures as well as they did in the past. I would like to thank each and every one of you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and learned something new. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment with any thoughts or queries down below if you enjoyed this garbage. This video was so difficult to write, as most of the information out there is either about domestic or invasive rabbits, which I don't want to talk about because they ain't endangered! I'm sorry this video is so late compared to when I wanted to upload it, but I want to get back into the swing of things with content creation after this long break. The gorilla video is doing fantastic, which just tickles me pink, so go check that out if you haven't already, because I put so much love into that video. Everyone have a great day. Peace.